Hey,
Hi,
Mike.
Heather. How are
How are
you?
you? I'm good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I just got back from 4 full fun days in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, you gotta tell us all about it.
Well, how about I show you some pictures?
Oh, I love that.
Okay, so remind me what to do.
Hit present, show screen,
Okay,
and then
present.
make sure the pictures are already up, and then click the picture.
Okay.
And while we're waiting, hi everyone. If you guys have any questions you would like to ask Michael Shackelford, please put it in the live chat and we will get to it in the order that is received. This is a great way to give you guys a little bit of buffer to get your questions in, and then we'll start doing your gambling questions. We also have a trivia for you today, so that's going to be fun as well.
Yep. Okay. So then I click share screen and then
Click the
um,
pictures that you want to show.
I think I click window. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I'm not
Okay.
sure what you see, but do you see a picture of like some water? There we go.
Yep. You see it?
Yeah. Okay, so
Fantastic.
these pictures are all out of order, but the place I went to is called Havasupai. It's on tribal land, and they have six beautiful waterfalls and a lovely campground. And it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And if I may say, I've been to a lot of places. So this place is really spectacular. It's extremely difficult to get camping permits to go there, especially during the peak season. But I got these permits months ago, and I went with three other people. Or I was supposed to go with three other people, but one person dropped off at the last minute. So this first picture is kind of arbitrary. This is not even one of the six named waterfalls. There's lots of little ones that don't even have a name. And when I was inviting people to this trip, so many people said, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the Grand Canyon in June. It's too hot." But no, it was great. The water itself cools you down, and even if you're not in the water, um, just the water just makes the air around it cooler. And it's funny, like if you get like 100 feet away from the water, then suddenly, yes, it's hot. But just go close to the water if you get hot. Okay, so these pictures don't really do it justice, but this is called Havasupai Fall. This one is probably the most famous. And Havasupai means blue green water in the original Indian language. That's why it kind of has that color. And I recently lost about 20 pounds. That's why I look kind of scrawny in this picture. I'm kind of embarrassed. Okay, this is me. Where was this? This is at Beaver Falls. This is the furthest downstream of all the six waterfalls. And this is Navajo Falls. This is the first of the waterfalls as you're going downstream. And this is another look at Havasu Falls from higher up. And this is another one of Havasu Falls. And this is on the hike in. Getting to this campground requires a 10-mile hike. And it is, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very nice hike. You go through very beautiful canyons and everything. And 8 miles into the hike, you come to the town of Supai, which is quite the geographical oddity. You have a small village of 400 people in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Like they have the only post office in the country that gets its mail delivered by mule, for example. This is me at the beginning of the hike. There's this parking area near Peach Springs, Arizona, which I believe the movie Cars was based on. And yeah, here's me getting ready for the hike. It was kind of windy, and we tried to get an early start before it got too hot. And this is me again. It's just some small waterfall that wasn't worthy of having a name. Nevertheless, it was very beautiful. And if you go to these unnamed ones, they're less crowded. And I think you saw this one. I think this is Navajo Falls. Okay, this is just me on the hike in. This is a typical picture of what it looks like on the 10-mile hike to get there. This is Beaver Falls, and this is also Beaver Falls. And this is Havasupai Falls again. And here I am at the village of Supai, and those rock formations behind me are iconic for the Supai tribe. And those are those same monuments, but from another direction. And it's kind of an Indian thing in Arizona to sell fry bread. So on some days they have this little fry bread stand about a half mile up the river from the campground. And I guess that's all I have for you. There are many more pictures, but I didn't want to show any pictures of the friends that I went with out of respect for their privacy. And so far, I've only the pictures that I took, but they promised to share me theirs later. Yeah. So, and another good thing is recently there was a big outbreak of the norovirus down there, and everyone was freaking out who had my dates to go down there. And I think there were a lot of cancellations. And that's why the one dropout we have dropped out is he was worried about getting sick, but no one in my group got sick. I didn't see anyone getting sick. I think the tribe did a good job of cleaning up the bathrooms, which I think was the cause of it. So yeah, had a good time. And if any of you have any questions about it, I welcome questions about that. And
so what was the norovirus again?
The norovirus, I'm not a medical expert, but if you search on this norovirus, Havasupai, you will see reports in the media about it, and just lots of people down there were getting sick, just extremely dehydrated and vomiting and diarrhea. And I think that I got this when I went to Hawaii about 15 years ago, and it's no fun to have. And again, I strongly speculate it got spread through the bathrooms. There's all kinds of discussion about it in forums about Havasupai, but that's my diagnosis.
Okay. So, and the other question is, I know with water in the desert, I don't think this is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this applies to any waterfalls or running rivers or anything like that. I think it only applies to freestanding water. Do you have to worry about the brain-eating amebula?
I think it's pronounced amoeba.
Amoeba, sorry.
No, the amoeba only likes hot water. So that was not true at all.
Cool. That looks like a lot of fun. 10 miles. So that took 4 days total?
Well, so the first day was hiking in. The second and third day were completely there. One day we explored the waterfalls upriver from the campground, and the other day we explored the ones downriver of the waterfall. And the fourth day was basically just a hike out. We woke up at 4 a.m. to hike out before it got too hot, and we did just fine. You know, so many people, when I invited them to this trip, they said, there's no way I'm hiking out of there in the Grand Canyon in the middle of June. But we were fine. And lots of other groups left the previous day, like in the evening, like say 8 p.m. And I'm sure they made it out, you know, I'm sure they did just fine. But the downside there is you're hiking in the dark, and I think it's more spectacular to see during the day. So yes, towards the end of the hike, it was kind of hot, and it's also more steep. But, you know, I've lived in Las Vegas and hiked in it for 23 years now. So it was nothing that me and my group couldn't handle. And I thought it was fine. Now, I think that the weather we hiked out was a little bit cooler than average for that area on that date. But nevertheless, you know, I invited so many people to this who just refused to go because it was in June, but it was fine. And the water was just very refreshing, and it was not that hot. So there you go.
So what kind of temperatures are you looking at? I know you said that near the water it was cooler
Mhm.
temperatures. Do you have any temperatures in Las Vegas to compare that to?
It's hotter in the Grand Canyon than Las Vegas because it's
Okay.
further down. And I would just say probably it's similar to Las Vegas in terms of heat.
Okay, so like 100, 110, somewhere around there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, you ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay. What is our first trivia question for the day?
Okay, so I am starting a 10-day, I guess fast is the right term, where I'm not going to use any coffee or alcohol. So in honor of that, I'm going to give you some alcohol trivia. So I'll start you guys with an easy one. What plant is tequila made from?
So if you guys know that answer, put it in the chat. And while we are waiting for you to answer, our first gambling question of the day comes from Jafar, who says, "Hi, Mike. About slot machine pay lines, if we have 9 pay lines to calculate the RTP for the game, do we calculate return for one single pay line and then multiply it by 9, or does it have another method?"
Just do the math for one pay line, and that's all you need to do, because the player needs to bet 9 times as much, probably, to get 9 pay lines. So the math is the same. However, if one bet pays for all 9 pay lines, every pay line should have the same RTP. So just do it for one line. And if the player gets 9 pay lines for one bet, then multiply that RTP by 9.
Okay. Our next one is from Dalbrickson, who says, "I pay ENHC blackjack, and a dealer shared this about playing a 16 versus a 10. Their idea was that if you are in the last spot, the next card would either finalize your hand or go into the house's 10."
No, first of all, in case for people who are wondering, I think he said
NHC.
HC. Yeah, that stands for European No Hole Card Rule. So the can you flip back so I can see the question? Okay. Their idea was that if you are in the last spot, the next card will either finalize your hand or go into the house's 10.
They
I'm,
also
I'm
say that since only a low card won't bust you, why not let the house take it to spoil their hand?
okay. So let's say that the next card is a high card. Then if you stand, then the dealer's going to get it, and the dealer will win. But if you hit, then you're going to bust, and the dealer's going to win. So if the next card is a big card, you're going to lose either way. So let's think about what if it's a small card. Then if it's a 5 or less, yes, it will help you. But and if you stand, then it'll go to the dealer and hurt them. So so let me flip to the second comment. Okay, so if it's a small card, it'll either help you or hurt the dealer. Either way, it's a good thing. So, but ultimately, with questions like that, you just have to cycle through all the thousands and thousands of ways the cards can play out, and weight each way by its probability, and look at how much can I expect to win or lose under both plays, and go with the one where you either make more money or lose less money. And it doesn't matter what position you're in. The a 16 versus a 10 is the most borderline play in blackjack, but with no other information, the odds slightly favor hitting, and that's true whether or not it's a the dealer has a whole card or not. So that's about all I can say on that one in a short period of time.
Okay. Our next one comes from Paul Andrews, who says, what's the house edge in craps of a 4 and 10 when placing a 15 versus buying a 20 versus buying 35 and the dollar Vegas paid on the win?
Well, to be honest, I'm not crazy about real math heavy questions like this where I'm going to have to do a lot of calculations on the show. And to be honest, I think that an answer to this is only going to be of interest to the person asking it. So I think this kind of question is better asked on my forum, Wizard of Vegas. So
Okay.
I'll do apologies, but I'm going to skip that one.
And just to add my 2 cents in there too, I know you can pay $1 VIG on a $25 buy bet, which is actually better odds than doing $15 and then doing the dollar VIG.
Yeah, again, please either ask me that. You can ask me a question through Wizard of Odds, although I kind of discourage that. I much prefer to get them through Wizard of Vegas. And this would make in fact, I'll take a screenshot of this question and look for an answer in my next Ask the Wizard column. But again, it's going to take too much time to do the math. And I don't have an answer to this memorized off the top of my head. Okay, I just took a screenshot of it.
And if people want to go to your Wizard of Vegas, it's wizardofvegas.com or .org?
.com.
.com. Okay. So our next one is also from Paul, who says, I understand you have designed slots. Any titles that we would be aware of? Any interesting aspects of the design process or internals of the machine code?
Nothing you probably would have heard of. I designed them for internet casinos and smaller markets. So the big boys like IGT and Aristocrat have their own mathematicians and don't need my help. And I could talk about designing slots the whole show and still only scrape the surface. So I prefer not to get down that path. So I will end my answer to that one there.
Okay, last question, and then we'll see what you guys have for trivia. Also from Paul, any new slot advantage plays that you have become aware of?
No, you may recall in recent shows I've been sharing advantage plays on slot machines, but I've since kind of lost my interest in that, and I don't have any new ones. Everything I have is on my website and in my book.
Okay, so let's see what you guys put for the answer to the trivia question. Dow Brixton says, is it agave?
Agave, and yes, it is.
Yay, congratulations.
Okay, let's go on to a harder one. Okay. In Greek mythology, who is the god of wine?
So if you guys know the answer, put that in the chat. And our next gambling question comes from Joshua, who says, purely hypothetical question. If casino games with high house edge like slot and keno have a 0 house edge, would you play them? Or are they just not fun games for you to play?
Yeah, if you gave me a boring game like slots or keno with no house edge, I would not play it. Because I don't gamble just for the sake of gambling like I used to when I was younger, but I've since become kind of bored. I've become bored with it. And so I need an advantage to get me out there to play now. However, if it was some kind of a fun game that I enjoyed, something that was more intellectually challenging, then I would play it. Sure.
What if they made Yahtzee into a casino game? Would you play it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would play that.
Awesome. Okay, our next one is from David, who says, as a sports bettor, I sometimes spend quite a bit of time in casinos to jam kiosks. During downtime, what other AP plays would you recommend looking into? How about for blackjack or slot hustling?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what jam kiosks means, and I would be interested to hear your answer to my question on that. I mean, I could talk about advantage play the whole show, so I don't want to go into that in too much depth. But but I have been saying for a long time that slot machines are the hot advantage play lately, although they're becoming much more cooler as more and more people know about that play. So there is no like really hot advantage play that I know of right now. I just don't. So sorry, not a very good answer, but that's the best I can do.
Our next question comes from Technics, who says, mentalists, psychics, and mediums are just magicians, but how do they read people's minds?
Oh boy, you guys are giving me some questions that could be talked about a long time today. And I mainly can speak. I will say that one trick that they often use in churches when somebody is pretending that they are, what's the term for it? Somebody who can communicate directly with God. What is the term for that?
Apostle?
No, an apostle is somebody who like follows a religious figure. Oh, now this is bothering me. But anyway, they will often say there's somebody in the room who needs prayer because they have arthritis or they have some financial problem, something that somebody is very likely to have in a big enough room. And another thing that with the really big names like Benny Hinn, what they do is they place, I'll call them stooges, in the auditorium as people are walking in. And they will just pretend to, just to kind of welcome people. And they might say, oh, what brings you here? And the person might say, oh, I'm here because my cousin Alex is really sick with a very specific condition. And they will pump them for a lot of specifics. And they say, okay, thank you. I'll pray for you. Have a blessed day. And then they go to the show, but they relay all this information to the minister, and it might be through a headset. And they will say, and then he will pretend like he's just getting all this information from God, when really it was all, information that was received from this person before the show. And magicians can do this too. And frankly, I don't think that it's ethical magically. I personally do not. I absolutely am against using audience stooges in magic. And normally I like the Steve Banachek show at the Stratosphere, but his very first trick I do not approve of. And what he does is he will pick 4 people from the audience and then he will say, think of a card. And then he writes something down. And then he goes through all 4 people. And then he goes back to the first one. And I might be misremembering the presentation a little bit, but then he will say, what was your card? And they'll say the Queen of Hearts. And then he will flip over his card and it's the Queen of Hearts. And then he goes to the next person. It's the same thing. And when I went there, he got 4 out of 4. And the way I highly speculate he did this is the same way, is he had somebody with and I've seen them do this, is they have people canvass the audience in the lobby before the show. And I think that what his associates did is he asked these people, what is your favorite playing card? And they just relayed that information back to Steve. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that they do with psychics and whatnot is they cold read. So they'll start off with a general type of a question, and then they'll read your body language and they'll narrow it down based off of that.
Yeah, a good psychic can do that. And by good, I mean like a good fake. Just out for entertainment reasons, when I'm in usually a poor country where you can get a reading quite cheap, I'll do it. But, I sit there with my poker face and I just get a bunch of vague stuff that is probably true of anybody. But a good psychic will kind of engage you in conversation, and knowing information about you can probably guess things that are true about you. And so, yeah, that's another thing. Just using psychology to gain information about people that's likely true. And there's a movie I like starring Steve Martin. What was it called? It's where he played an evangelist who was a total phony, but he was extremely good at doing this. And maybe someone can write in the comments the name of this movie, but
Yeah.
but it's a good example of how it's done. Is he could just get a little bit of information, like somebody's age, their race, their occupation, and know all kinds of stuff that was likely true about them.
I saw that. That was really good. I don't remember the name of it either, but that was really good. He did such a good job with that. Northern Jim says, is it called a prophet?
Yes. Thank you, Northern Jim. Yes. The person is a prophet, and the so-called gift is prophecy. Thank you.
Okay. And David says, was the TV show A Leap of Faith?
Yeah. Is that the name of it?
I don't remember the name of it. I watched it and I don't remember the name of it.
Let me go to IMDb.
I just remember it was so good, and he did such a good job with it.
Okay, Leap of Faith. Yep, that's it. By the way, my favorite movie about religion is called The Invention of Lying. I don't want to give. So it stars Ricky Gervais, who was the boss in the English version of The Office, and it's based on the premise that there's no such thing as lying. Like, nobody had ever even conceived of the idea of telling a lie until Ricky Gervais was on his mother's deathbed, and she was really suffering, and she had all this anxiety, like, I'm about to die, and please say something to comfort me. And just off the top of his head, he just said, you're going to go to a nice place after you die. And she said, really? That's such wonderful news. Now I'm ready to go. And she died very happy. And then the character played by Ricky Gervais said, wow, that was so easy. I should keep doing this. So people believed everything that he said. And I don't want to go too far to ruin the movie, but basically he kind of formed a whole religion because everybody believed everything that he said. And and it's also a very funny movie. I don't give movie reviews very often, but this was a great movie, and it's very underrated. I have a really difficult time finding any Americans who have ever even heard of it.
Yeah, I need to look that up, see if it's on like Netflix or something.
All right, enough about that.
So
okay.
David said kiosk jamming. It is a way to bypass sports book limits. After a book limits you online, you hit their physical kiosks in person with cash.
Oh, yeah. I've known people who do that. I didn't know that there was a term for it, but I knew people also that wanted to get a lot of money down on a game, and they knew that if they bet, say, above $1,000, they knew the line would move, just the way the sports books operate. So this was time when Caesars still had their own lines. So he would go from one Caesars property to another, betting like $950 at each one.
Before we move on to the next one, speaking of magicians, did you hear about the magician in Las Vegas who was going to different stores and using magic to basically steal from companies?
Nope.
He would use trick of hand or sleight of hand and then do like a magic trick and then get more money because I think what it was is the person gave him money back. He said, "You didn't give me all the money back." And he did a sleight of hand where he took some money out and then showed the person. And they're like, "Oh, you're right. I didn't give you the money I was supposed to," and then gave him more money.
Well, I don't know if this is the same thing, but it's a common cheating method to when you buy something, you totally confuse the cashier and saying, "No, I gave you a 20 when he really gave the cashier a 10. And just through a lot of confusion and just getting people to trust you, he gets an extra $10 in change. So one of my very first legitimate job was a cashier. And the way they told us to do it is when someone pays you, you put the bill up above the place where you put the money in the cash register. And then you give them their change. And then if they try to pull this, they'll say, "No, I did not put your money. I did not mix your money in the cash register yet. Here is the exact bill that you gave me." So nobody tried to pull that on me that I can recall, but this was a long time ago. But that's absolutely how I was trained. And I think a lot of cashiers do that.
Okay. Answer to the trivia question?
Any answers to it?
Dionysus?
Yeah. Yes. No. I lost that page, and maybe that was. Did I ask about Greek or Roman? I said Greek. No. Do we have any other answers? Any other answers to the trivia question?
I don't see any.
The answer, as I understand it, is Bacchus. I think.
Yes. David said Bacchus.
Okay. Congratulations, David. Okay. Question number 3. Go ahead.
Sorry, I missed that, David.
Okay. Question number 3. What is mead made from?
So if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. And our next question comes from Northern Jim, who says, Are slot makers now targeting vultures? In AGS, Captain Rich's a prize is won after opening 10 chests above the reels, and the first 9 stay open between players, but the 10th is really hard to get. There's a part 2 to the question. I see more and more countdown popping randomly in idle slots, allowing the player to start in bonus mode, but the bonus mode is not that great and it feels like a trap.
Okay. To that, I will say that it's no big secret that a lot of machines kind of tease players when it gets close to hitting a bonus. For example, Cashman Bingo, the one where coins cover a bingo card. When you get one away, for some reason, it seems like those coins are not as likely to hit the spots that you need. I'm not going to call that cheating, but it is kind of a trick. And a lot of games that are not vulturable appear to be. Like there's all these baby games with Asian babies on the artwork, like I don't remember the names of them because they're usually in I think Vietnamese, and they show these bowls of gold coins, and like sometimes there's just a little bit of coins, but sometimes they're like really stacked high in this bowl and the lid is ready to fall off. But actually that has nothing to do with the value of the bonus or when it's likely to hit. They are just teasing you. I hope, but that information is pretty common knowledge, to be honest with you. I'm not aware of anything else that the slot machine companies are doing. I think that vulturable games still do well financially. So for the casino and the slot makers. So I think that the business side of it is still saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because as long as they're making money, it ain't broke. So that may not be a perfect answer to your question, but that's just some information related to the topic.
Okay. Our next question is also a two-parter. Chris says, have you ever used the session method on your taxes? I don't itemize, but from what I understand, I can keep records and add up my total wins if it's less than my W-2Gs and use that amount instead. And am I not allowed to deduct my losing sessions? Is that correct?
Okay, there's another one could talk for hours about. Since a change in the law, I don't itemize anymore because the standard deduction got better. So if I get any W-2Gs, which I did recently, I will have to unfortunately pay taxes on them. I cannot deduct losing sessions against them again because I do not itemize. But when I did itemize, I know that you're supposed to like document your losses. And if you are, say, a slot player or video poker, you could take the net win or loss of a whole session. And that was called the session method. And you were supposed to keep good records of the date, the casino, the game, the machine number. And that is what they tell you to do. Did I personally do that? No, because I was too lazy. At the end of the day, if you itemize on the Schedule A, it's just going to ask you for gambling losses. And you just put in a number, and the chances of getting audited are very low. And I don't want it to look like I'm teaching about how to cheat on taxes, but I didn't do a lot of work documenting my video poker play because I thought the chances of getting audited would be very low. And furthermore, even if I did, I could construct a spreadsheet approximating my play and make it look like and make it all add up to the number that I felt were my losses. So that is my short answer to that one.
Okay. And Chris also says that he does not itemize his deductions. And we also had a comment from someone, Joshua, who said, if you itemize deductions, you can deduct losing sessions up to the amount of your winning sessions, IRS publication 529.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, absolutely. So let's say that you have W-2Gs for 20,000 and your losses are 25,000. It's not like the government is going to give you 5,000 back as a credit towards your income. No, you would be allowed to declare no gambling winnings at all, and the 5,000 in losses doesn't really help you. And just to make it clear, if you don't itemize, you cannot deduct losses. And this is one thing that I hear in like casino elevators a lot. Like one person will say, "Oh, I just lost $1,000 at blackjack," and a stranger who's also in the elevator will say, "Be sure to write that down. You can deduct it against any future gambling winnings," without having a conversation about this person about whether they itemize. But again, I really want to emphasize, if you don't itemize, you can't deduct gambling losses. Sorry.
Yeah. And also too, to add on to that, isn't a standard deduction $10,000 to $12,000? So if you itemize, you want it to be above that amount in order for it to be worth itemizing.
Right. I think for married couples, it's around 25, and that's more than I could ever itemize to. So I just go with the standard deduction now.
Cool. Okay. Should we see if people have an answer to the trivia question?
Yes.
Okay. Dal Brixon says, is it honey?
It is honey. Good job, Dal Brixon.
Ooh,
Okay, next
very
question.
nice.
Next question is, gin is flavored with what?
So if you guys know that answer, put it in the chat. While we are waiting for you guys to answer the trivia question, we're going to go through and answer your casino questions. If you have any casino questions that you want Mike to answer, please put it in the chat and we will answer it in the order that it is received. So our next one is from Joey, and it looks like this one is a 3-parter, 4-parter. If you guys could put your questions in like one text, that would make this so much easier. Joey says, if the running count is 0 or under 16 or hit under the 16, if it is higher than 0, you stand on the 16, he might be answering something. One of the illustrations, 18, specifies to stand on 10 versus 16. Yeah, he is answering that.
So those
And that's if no surrender available.
they're just
Okay.
talking to each other.
Sounds good to me. So our next question is from Joey, who says, what about if you had a player's card and you can earn comps with it?
Yeah, then absolutely I would play a zero house edge game. I think that he was referring to that earlier question. Yeah, absolutely I consider the value of comps when I consider whether or not to play. And during my big video poker games, I often played slightly negative games because the value of the mailers and other comps were more than what I was giving up to the house edge.
Okay. And then someone had a comment about the Bacchus answer to the trivia question. If I'm not mistaken, the buffet at Caesars is also named after Bacchus.
Yeah, isn't it called the Bacchanal?
I don't know. I hear Bacchus, and the first thing I think of is that Percy TV show on Disney.
Okay. All right.
So
Let's move on.
Next question. Okay, I'm just going through the comments. And Joey says, yeah, not a question. I don't see any more questions.
Oh, wow. We don't come out very often.
I know that's not a normal thing, right?
Yeah.
Joey does say thank you very much. So I just wanted to bring that one up. And then, we just got 2 more questions. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. At poker variants such as Ultimate Texas Hold'em, is there a card removal effect, even a tiny one, impacting players in last positions? And this is from Northern Chin.
The way this question is usually phrased is, does it help me in Ultimate Texas Hold'em to see the other player's cards? And I recently wrote, where did I write about this? I wrote a whole article on this at Wizard of Odds, and I spent a lot of time on the topic. And the short answer is no. For recreational players, I do not recommend deviating from the strategy on my site based on other players' cards. And it's going to be really tempting to do so. But I really think that it's just giving you rope to hang yourself. So unless you know what to do with that information, I would ignore it. So yeah, again, it's the way this is usually talked about is collusion in Ultimate Texas Hold'em, because now they have a lot of machines where you can see everybody's cards. And furthermore, a lot of casinos do not mind if players just flip their cards over so everyone can see them. But again, I think that, I wrote this article like a year ago, but I think the gist of it was that with perfect play and a 6-player game, the player had a small advantage. But again, that's with perfect play that you need a computer to do. So it's not a viable advantage play, in my opinion, contrary to an opinion expressed by Elliot Jacobson, for whom I have enormous respect, but I frankly just respectfully disagree with him on this topic.
Okay. Our next question comes from Joshua, who says, any recommendations for fun things to do or places to see in Vegas that are free, not far from the Strip or downtown?
Okay. I think what's called the 7 Magic Mountains are really cool. That are these big, somebody put stacked up these enormous boulders like the size of like large cars, and painted them very bright colors and stacked them up, and they look kind of like marshmallows. And it's just like one on top of the other, and there are like 7 or 8 of these stacks, and they are just about, I would say, about 20 miles south of Vegas, just off the I-15. Especially if you're driving to Vegas from LA, you absolutely should go, because it's right on the way. You will have to get off the highway and drive down it on a side road a little bit to see it. But yeah, the Seven Magic Mountains. I also really like a place called Gunlock Reservoir. It's near St. George, Utah, and that is a really cool set of small waterfalls where you can go swimming and jumping in, and it's a really fun and a way to cool off in the summer. Probably wouldn't be so good in the colder months. What else can I think of? Not that you
downtown.
Well, he said not downtown, didn't he?
Not far from downtown,
Okay.
or the Strip. So downtown, you have like the container park with the giant mantis, praying mantis, that breathes fire at night. That's free. If you go to the Golden Nugget, you could go to their pool area, and they have a shark tank there that you could see. That's pretty free. If you go to the Bellagio, you have the Bellagio Gardens. If you go to Silverton, you could see the mermaids. And the Silverton has this really cool thing where it's inside. It looks like a train cart or some kind of like RV that was really old. If you go inside there, it's tucked away. You get like a bowling alley, and it's all casino themed. So the fabric on the chairs are like all casino themed. It's just a really fun little thing to do. That's, I think, only a quarter. Go ahead. Sorry.
Those are all good suggestions, but the way I interpreted his question was things that are not far from downtown and the Strip, which I interpret to mean not exactly in downtown and the Strip. So I would also like to put in a plug for Red Rock. There is an entrance fee to that, but it's modest. If they do require a reservation now for busy periods. If Red Rock is not a possibility, just before you get to Red Rock is a place called Calico Basin, where you can park at a picnic area for free, and that has great rock scrambling. That's one of the best values in Vegas if you're an outdoorsy person, especially because it's free. What else? Hoover Dam, the bridge that's right by Hoover Dam. You can walk along that and look down. And
speaking of Red Rock, if you don't want to pay for Red Rock, you could go to Little Red Rock. And Little Red Rock, if you're on Summerlin Parkway and you turn to go on the 215, the very first turnoff, I forgot the name of it. If you go west down that road to the very, very end of it, there's a little trail. Just park on the side of the road. There's a little trail, and the trail walks up to Little Red Rock. And it's really an interesting little place with little red rocks that is completely free.
I don't recommend that as highly for the average tourist as you do, because it's you're not sure where to park, where is the trail, and it's kind of a long walk, and you can see the same kind of stuff, but much more big and spectacular at Calico Basin. Now, the advantage of Little Red Rock is you'll probably be there, you'll have the whole thing to yourself, and it'll be a little bit more adventurous. But I think that for most tourists, it's just not appropriate.
What about Lone Mountain? Because you could just park in the parking lot at Lone Mountain, and it's an easy climb up the mountain, and then you see the entire Vegas Valley.
It is kind of far from the Strip in downtown, and he said not far. But if somebody is athletic and wants to climb a mountain, they might find it too easy, to be honest with you. But I live near Lone Mountain, and I like it. I've climbed it too many times to count. So yeah, I think that's a bit too far to give a good recommendation for. So Anyway, enough about that question. One could write a whole book in response to that one.
Okay. Do you want to do the answer to the trivia question?
Yes. Did anyone get it? What do we have?
A few people had answers, so let's see who was right. The first person that commented said, is it juniper?
Yes, it is indeed juniper berries. Very good.
Nice.
Okay, on to the next question. What is the seal of a barrel of whiskey called?
So if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. Our next question comes from, looks like Northern Jim about the Ultimate Texas Hold'em. About Ultimate Texas Hold'em, I mostly wonder if the odds of a flush or a straight go down because there are less cards left.
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, like if they dealt the game and just like took half the deck and just threw it in the trash without showing it to you, it would not change the odds one little bit.
Okay. And Chris wanted to comment on the free stuff to do. He said Downtown Arts District is really fun to look at, and the antique store there is pretty awesome. If you have time, go check out Spinetti's or the Gambler's General Store. That's really fun to take a look at too.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mob Museum.
Yep.
Very interesting. So if you guys have any other questions, please put them in the chat. My question for you, Mike, is how often, or what really gets you excited? Like what do you hear pertaining to gambling, casino table games, or betting on sports that really gets you excited, that gets you to jump up out of your seat and run down there to go check it out?
Nothing.
No, nothing?
It's difficult to get me excited anymore about anything gambling related. I hardly ever play anymore.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. My next question to you is, looking at the back of your office, you see all the art and pictures and that type of a thing. What is your favorite type of artwork to collect?
I like kind of comic book art. I wouldn't really call myself a collector. I just like what I like. I don't claim that I have anything of value. By the way, speaking of the Arts District, there's an artist there named Antonio, and he made he made that, like my big Wonder Woman right there.
Oh, so, cool!
Really good work. And there's like one big building there that has the work of a whole bunch of different artists, and but he is very prominently displayed there, like in the main hallway. So anyway, I'd like to give a little plug for Antonio.
Fantastic. Our next question comes from Northern Jim. Any chance that you'll do an analysis of the Ruby side bet at Baccarat? It seems complex because you could win on both sides.
Never heard of it, but I'm going to write that down and look into it after the show.
Okay.
But if you want to say in the comments the rules and save me the trouble, please do.
It looks like it's a 16 versus 10 answer. It doesn't improve the odds. And if the player hits on an ace, they look like a hero. I don't know.
I think that's just a person-to-person comment. I spent enough time on that one already.
Cool. Okay. So our next one is, I do 4 things: golf, snowmobile, fix lawn tractors, and go to a casino. What are your 4 things that you often do?
I like running. I like bicycling. I like hiking, and I like analyzing casino games.
How far do you run or bicycle or hike?
My standard run, which I do almost every day, is 6 miles. And the hike can really beat just about anything. Like my hike out of the Grand Canyon was 10 miles. And yeah.
If you do a standard run of 6 miles every day, do you have to worry about the sun beating down on you, or
That's a good
because
question.
there's not much shade in Las Vegas?
Yeah, no, I have to run first thing in the morning. I do the Wordle and then I do my run before it gets too hot.
You do Wordle. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm addicted to it. I got a 4. I got a 4 today.
Oh, cool. What's a good one?
What's a good what?
4. So what's a good number for Wordle?
4 is just average,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say with 4 is my average. So I got a 1 once when it was raise. At that time, I started with the word raise, and about 2 months ago, that was the solution.
Wow, that's pretty impressive to get it on the first try.
Yeah, thanks. Okay,
Northern
4-minute warning, guys. Let's get in some quickie questions. Nothing too deep.
Okay. Northern Jim says Ruby wins on a 3-card 9 at Baccarat.
Okay.
One side 3-card 9 pays 10 to 1, and both side 3-card 9 pays 75 to 1.
Okay, I'll look through the comments after the show just to remember that.
And Mick says, "May I ask your age?"
59.
Woo! Do you have any big plans for 60?
Retiring.
That's a pretty big plan.
Yep.
And then our next one is, will you be doing an analysis of the extra card poker game that was discussed on the Wizard of Odds?
Yes, it was discussed at Wizard of Vegas, but yeah, absolutely. So there's a new video poker game called Extra Card Poker, and I played that at the Rampart recently. And the gist of that is if you double your bet, sometimes they give you extra hands or a multiplier. And the chances of getting that depend upon how many cards that you hold. And seems like a clever idea. I haven't gotten around to analyzing it because I saw it just before I went to the Grand Canyon. And but yes, that is on my to-do list. The to-do list is kind of long right now, but it's definitely on it.
Awesome. Okay, one more question, or should we see what the answers to the trivia question are?
Trivia.
Okay, trivia it is. Is it, our very first answer is it bunghole?
It's just called the bung, and it's spelled B-U-N-G.
Okay. Green got that with bung.
Yeah. Yep, just the bung.
Cool.
Okay, I'll do one more quick alcohol question. Let's see, which one should I ask? That one is too involved. Okay. So a standard bottle of wine is 750 milliliters. But so what are the terms? The standard sizes for the big bottles are 2 times that, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So the question is, what are the names of these larger sizes of bottles?
Okay, so if you guys know that, put that in the chat. And our next gambling question comes from Red Deck, who says, how can we submit a table game variation to you for you to add onto your page?
Okay, first of all, I require that game be in a casino somewhere. It can't just be some game that you're trying to sell. So you can contact me through Wizard of Odds and say, I represent such and such a game. Here are the complete rules. Please give me the complete rules. Like if there's a variable number of decks, tell me how many. And it can be played give me the list of the casinos. It would be really nice if you gave me a math report to the game. It would save me the trouble of analyzing it. If you do give me the math report, I bet it's going to have a whole bunch of different pay tables in it. So tell me which pay table is being used wherever it's being played. So yes, I am very amenable to getting such requests as long as the game is played somewhere, and it can be some rinky-dink casino in Michigan. That's fine. But yeah, I like to cover new games, and it helps your chances again is if you give me a professionally written math report.
Fantastic. Now it's 4 o'clock. Do you want to figure out what the next day is that we're going to be doing this?
Yes, and by the way, I want to add, by a professionally written math report, I prefer not to get something written by GLI or BMM. I think the ones that are done by private individuals like me, Joe Shipman, and Charles Mousseau, and Daniel Dale are much, much better. And if you are inventing a casino game, please go to a true professional who will not just do the math, but help you crafting your game into a work of art, as opposed to GLI or BMM, which will just analyze exactly what you put in front of them, and they may or may not get it right. Now, all of us could make mistakes too, but I think that we are better at it than they are. If I may toot our own horn of this small group of gaming mathematicians, and yeah. Okay. So you said the next live stream. Let's have a look here.
Yeah. And while you're looking at that, BMM and GLI charge thousands of dollars. It's so expensive.
Now, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of jurisdictions require a math report by one of those two entities. But you know, I don't like the fact that government is saying that only these two companies, private sector companies, shall we say, we recognize. I don't think that's fair to the little guys like me, but I'm not going to go down that rant. So let's say you are in a jurisdiction that requires GLI. You should still pay the extra money to go to an independent mathematician like me. And then once you get a polished gem that I would give you, you give that to GLI. So they will probably basically verify it, which is good. And to be perfectly honest with you, GLI has caught mistakes in my work, never really huge ones, but, and they have frankly shown a lot of improvement. They've hired some good people there. A few years ago, I thought they were really, you know, couldn't even analyze easy stuff. But yeah, do not skimp on good help, even if it's not required. Okay.
You're actually going to save yourself thousands of dollars by hiring a private mathematician to do the work first and then give them that math report. That saves you so much money in the long run.
You're absolutely right. And you might pay, say, $5,000 for someone like me to analyze your game. It is money well spent, and be prepared to throw $100,000 if you really want to pitch a new table game to live casinos. So compared to all the expenses that you're going to pay, it's going to be at least something where you actually like get a product. You know, a lot of the other money you'll spend will be, say, going to a trade show and absolutely nothing comes out of it, and just traveling around to pitch your game. And you know, it's a very, very tough business. But I don't want to. I know we're already over time, so let's get back to the date of the next live stream. Okay, so today is June 20th. Yeah, we're starting to enter my busy travel period here, but how about July 25th?
Okay, so our next live stream will be July 25th. We hope you join us. Again, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you show up early and get your question in, it's more likely that it will be answered. And should we do the answer to the trivia question?
Yeah. Did we get anything?
Is it Magnum is one? We got that answer. Jeroboam, is that correct?
Jeroboam.
Okay.
Okay.
And we also got Methuselah. And, okay. And I don't know how to pronounce that one. I'm not even going to try.
Okay. Methuselah is not one of them. Methuselah was the oldest living person in the Bible who almost got to 1,000. But no, there is no a bottle named after him, as far as I know, but here's the answer. 2 times is a Magnum, 4 times is a double Magnum, 6 times is a Jeroboam, 8 times is an Imperial, 12 times is a Salamanzar, 16 times is a Balthazar, and 20 times is a Nebuchadnezzar.
Ah, and Delbrickson got that one.
Good job, Delbrickson. Okay, so thank you, Heather, and thank you, audience, for showing up and all your questions and participation. And was hoping to get some questions on Havasupai, but that's okay. So I'll see you all on July 25th.
See you then.
Thanks, Heather. Bye.
Bye.